I'm here in Cairo. Time for the news bulletin. My name is Amal Mukhtar. I have all the pleasure to be accompanied with my dear colleague Angie Maher. Hello, Angie.
A very good afternoon to you, Amal, and to all our viewers. And we'll be right back with a look at the headlines. Do stay tuned. Under the auspices of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli inaugurates the 6th Turatna exhibition. Egypt strongly denounces Israeli targeting of Syrian military positions occupying further Syrian lands. An Israeli occupation kills 33 Palestinians in the morning as strikes as UN Assembly demands
Welcome back. The news in detail. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli inaugurated today the 6th Turatna, or Our Heritage Exhibition for Hand and Hereditary Crafts. The Prime Minister then made an inspection tour at the exhibition pavilions where he was briefed on the distinguished products. The exhibition is being held under the auspices of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi at the Cairo International Conference Center until December the 21st. The event aims at opening new markets for many handcrafts manufacturers locally and internationally.
On behalf of the Prime Minister, Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, the Deputy Prime Minister for Industrial Development and Minister of Industry and Transport, Kamel El-Wazir, took part in a ceremony marking Qatar's National Day. Addressing the ceremony, which was held in the Qatari Embassy in Cairo, Deputy Prime Minister pointed out to the joint will by both countries to upgrade bilateral ties through investments into trade, tourism and cooperation on strategic projects. El-Wazir noted that the two nations are promising capabilities in a way which contributes to pushing forward development and progress.
Egypt strongly condemned today the Israeli systematic targeting of Syrian military infrastructure and its intended shelling of military positions, bases, weapon depots and equipment. A Foreign Ministry statement renewed Egypt's absolute rejection of Israel's exploitation of Syria's political vacuum and internal chaos to hamper the state's capabilities and occupy further Syrian territory.
Syria's new interim Prime Minister Mohammed al-Bashir pledged to protect and respect the rights of all Syrian sects, also calling for Syrians who sought refuge abroad to return to their homeland. Bashir noted that he seeks to return millions of Syrian refugees to protect all the people in the country and offer all basic services. He pledged to rebuild Syria, saying that his country is moving towards development and reconstruction. But he added the process will be hard. Bashir, who was appointed as the transitional head of government till March the 1st, said it was time for stability and calm in the country.
Syrian armed factions leader Ahmed al-Shara said that he would dissolve the security forces of the government of Bashar al-Assad. Al-Shara also said he was closely following up on possible chemical weapons depots and coordinating with international organizations to secure them. He also reiterated that he would form a government of technocrats, adding that the current transitional government is set to rule until March 2025.
U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin told the defense minister of the Israeli Occupation Authority in a call that it was important for the United States and Israel to be in close consultation over events unfolding in Syria. Austin said that Washington was monitoring developments in Syria and that it backed a peaceful, inclusive political transition. Israeli occupation forces jets conducted hundreds of strikes in Syria and destroyed the bulk of Syria's strategic weapons stockpiles.
Well, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken have arrived in Jordan today at the start of a Middle East tour, seeking to advance efforts to reach a ceasefire in Gaza and help ensure a smooth transition in Syria following the departure of Bashar al-Assad. Also, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan were set to visit the Middle East in coming days. The high-level tours came in the final weeks of Biden's term before former U.S. President Donald Trump returns to the White House on January the 20th.
The Palestinian Civil Defense Agency reported that Israeli occupation airstrikes killed at least 33 people today, including 12 guards that were securing 8 trucks in southern parts of Gaza. Agency spokesperson said 7 guards were killed in a strike in Rafah, whilst another attack left 5 guards dead in Khan Yunis. Elsewhere, Israeli occupation airstrikes on 2 homes near Nusayrat refugee camp and Gaza City killed 21 more people, including children. 15 people, at least 6 of them children, also died as a result of an Israeli occupation bombing of a building sheltering displaced people near Nusayrat. Israeli occupation's genocide war in Gaza, now in its 14th month, has claimed the lives of more than 44,800 Palestinian martyrs.
The United Nations General Assembly overwhelmingly voted to demand an immediate, unconditional and permanent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and the immediate release of all hostages. The world body also threw its support behind the UN Palestinian Relief Agency UNRWA, demanding the Israeli Occupation Authority to respect the UN aid agency's mandate and enable its operations to proceed without impediment or restriction. The Israeli Occupation Authority has faced growing international criticism over its unprecedented genocide war on Gaza.
The United States Central Command said Israeli occupation forces conducted a first withdrawal from a town in South Lebanon and were replaced by the Lebanese military under a ceasefire deal. Lebanese Prime Minister Najib Mikati said that the stationing of troops in the Khayyam areas today represents a fundamental step towards strengthening the Lebanese army's deployment in the south in implementation of a ceasefire decision. As part of the ceasefire agreement, the Lebanese army and the United Nations peacekeepers will deploy in southern Lebanon as Israeli occupation forces withdraw over a period of 60 days.
Britain, France, Germany have told the United Nations Security Council that they are ready, if necessary, to trigger a so-called snapback of all international sanctions on Iran to prevent the country from acquiring a nuclear weapon. They will lose the ability to take such action on the 18th of October next year when 2015 UN resolution expires. Western states say there is no need to enrich uranium to such a high level under any civilian program and that no other country has done so without producing nuclear bombs. Iran denies pursuing nuclear weapons.
Russia announced that it will definitely respond to Ukraine's latest use of US-made ATACMS missiles to strike Russian territory.
Moscow has said that Ukraine had struck a military airfield on the Azov Sea with 6 US-made ATACMS ballistic missiles, a move that could prompt Russia to launch another experimental intermediate-range hypersonic missile at Ukraine. Details in the following report.
The Kremlin said on Thursday that Russia will definitely respond to Ukraine's latest use of US-made missiles to strike Russian territory. Russia said that Ukraine had struck a military airfield on the Azov Sea with 6 US-made ballistic missiles, a move that could prompt Moscow to launch another experimental intermediate-range hypersonic missile at Ukraine. Ukrainian drones also targeted a police barracks in the southern Russian region of Chechnya overnight. The Russian Defense Ministry said it shot down 16 Ukrainian drones overnight, including 1 over Chechnya, 3 in the neighboring region of North Ossetia, and 8 over the annexed Ukrainian peninsula of Crimea. Russia's defense ministry said on Wednesday that the attack by Western long-range weapons will not go unanswered and appropriate measures will be taken. It is unclear exactly how Russia will respond. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that response will follow in a manner deemed appropriate, but it will definitely follow. Russia fired the new intermediate-range hypersonic ballistic missile known as Arshink on Hazel 3 at Ukraine on November 21st in what President Vladimir Putin said was a direct response to strikes on Russia by Ukrainian forces with US and British missiles. A US official said on Wednesday that Russia could launch another hypersonic ballistic missile against Ukraine in the coming days, but Washington does not consider this weapon a game changer in the war.
South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol said today he would fight to the end as his own political party shifted closer to voting with the opposition to impeach him over his short-lived martial law order. In a televised address, he alleged that North Korea had hacked South Korea's election commission, casting doubt on his party's landslide election defeat in April. Yoon, whose country has Asia's fourth-largest economy, hopes political allies will rally to support him. But this has appeared less likely after his address. The leader of his ruling People Power Party said the time had come for Yoon to resign or be impeached by Parliament.
Now with the economy news, as Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation, Dr. Rania Al-Mashat, and Polish Minister of Economic Development and Technology co-chaired the first round of Egyptian-Polish Joint Committee for Economic, Scientific and Technical Cooperation in Warsaw. Dr. Al-Mashat said that the launching of the first session is a significant step towards advancing Egyptian-European relations under the leadership of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. It also reflects the growing strategic partnership between Cairo and Warsaw, especially as Poland is set to take over the U.S. presidency in January 2025.
Back home, Egypt's bourse edged higher today amid purchases by local investors against sell-offs by Arab and foreign investors. Market capital of listed companies reached £2.2 trillion at the start of transactions that stood at £2.9 billion. Benchmark index EGX 30 rose 0.32%. Equal-weighted indices EGX 70 and EGX 100 climbed 0.9% and 0.78% respectively.
Well, crude oil extended its rally today amid the threat of additional sanctions stiffing Russian oil output. Brent crude futures added 27 cents to $73.79 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas intermediate crude futures traded at $70.45 per barrel, up 16 cents. Meanwhile, the International Energy Agency said that oil supply is set to outpace global demand next year, even as OPEC Plus members extended cuts in efforts to probe up prices.
Now moving to the exciting world of sports, kicking off with the Mexican side, Pachuca, which beat the Brazilian side, Botafogo 3-0 to advance to the Intercontinental Cup semi-finals. Pachuca will face Cairo Giants Al-Ahli on Saturday and play against the Champions League holders Real Madrid in next week's final. Ahli's football mission has arrived in Qatar, where they start warming up for their Intercontinental Cup semi-final clash.
Saudi Arabia was officially confirmed today by FIFA as host of the 2034 World Cup in men's soccer, giving the kingdom its biggest prize yet for massive spending on global sports, driven by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The Saudi bid was the only candidate and was acclaimed by the applause of more than 200 FIFA member federations who took part remotely in an online meeting hosted in Zurich by the Soccer Buddies president.
The FIFA decision was combined with approving the only candidate to host the 2030 World Cup. Spain, Portugal and Morocco will co-host in a six-nation project, with Argentina, Paraguay and Uruguay each getting one of the 104 games. The 2030 tournament will be the first World Cup played in 6 different countries, with Spain, Portugal and Morocco as the main hosts, while South American nations, Argentina, Paraguay and Uruguay, will each get one game. The format will help FIFA mark the centenary of Uruguay hosting the first World Cup in 1930.
Well, with this, my dear viewers, we come to the end of the news bulletin. My name is Amal Mukhtar. I had all the pleasure to be joined with my dear colleague, Angie Meher. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much, Amal, and thank you to our viewers for watching.